Don't you dare, ref. That she got the ball. Good morning to all Spurs fans all around the world, and hopefully you're getting up with a pep in your step this morning and you are fired up because the mighty Tottenham Hotspur are back in cup action tonight as we travel to Anfield to take on Liverpool in the second leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final, and we are potentially just one game away from reaching Wembley and the Carabao Cup final. And it's a huge opportunity for us to build off the back of a solid few days for Tottenham Hotspur. Back-to-back clean sheets and victories, qualification for the last 16 in the Europa League, a nice win over Brentford at the weekend that has helped us move away from the relegation zone in the Premier League, and a win here and a place in the final would really start to change the media narrative around Tottenham Hotspur and start putting respect back on our great club. However, this is not a simple task. We haven't beaten Liverpool at Anfield since a 2-0 win under Harry Redknapp back in 2011, where Luka Modric and Rafael van der Vaart scored that day. That being said, we have shown ourselves to be a much different team in cup competitions this season, so it's not impossible. Postecoglou is facing some selection dilemmas, mainly evolving around whether he should throw new signings Kevin Danso and Matthias Tel straight into the deep end. Let's dive into the predicted lineup that I think Postecoglou will go with for tonight's crucial game. Starting in goals, and a couple of hours ago this was a straightforward selection. I would have sat here and said Kinski retains his place off the back of a couple of good clean sheets. However, I was on Last Word on Spurs last night, and Ricky did mention that there were whispers that Vicario has been working really hard behind the scenes to make his return for his second leg. Now, take your mind back to a couple of weeks ago on social media. There were leaked images of Vicario back in the gym, and we have been told he has been back training with the team. Now, there was no mention of this in the press conference in the build-up to this game, which makes me wonder, could there be a surprise in store? And you know what? I'm going to go with Guglielmo Vicario to make his long-awaited return. Now, of course, this is a huge gamble. How sharp is he? And there is a trade-off to be had with Anthony Kinski. Anthony Kinski is much better from set pieces and actually has helped alleviate a lot of the pressure from set pieces, with Vicario being very vulnerable under set pieces. However, Vicario is a much better shot stopper. In the huge game in the North London derby, Kinski made a huge mistake against Trossard for his goal, but also against Leicester for the first goal. The ball came across. Yes, it should have been cut out earlier, but he had time to gather and it went through him, and Vardy ended up bundling it over the line. So, with us playing against Liverpool, with us going to be under the cosh, and with us going to face a lot of shots, and the assignment is to try and contain Liverpool and hold on to what we got, I do think Vicario is the right option if he is fit and available. And I think it simply comes down to, with Vicario being a part of the leadership group, that if he walks to Postecoglou and he says, I'm ready, I think Ange has to trust him. At left back, and there is only one pick here, and it is Jedi Spence-tacular, who comes into this game full of confidence off the back of his man-of-the-match performance against Brentford, where he pocketed Brian Mbeumo, who has terrorised Premier League defences up and down the country all season long. Now, he will come up against Mo Salah. It's not going to be an easy game. However, he done very well to be able to contain Mo Salah in the first leg, and we need him to replicate a very similar performance here again today. Now, when it comes to Jed Spence, for me, the assignment is containing Mo Salah. However, he is the only fullback I will allow to go forward on the occasion when the opportunity arises, because he does have the pace to be able to recover and get back. Moving on to right back, and it will be Postman Porro, who comes into this game off the back of a solid defensive display against Brentford. And the reason being is because he was asked to play a traditional fullback role rather than the inverted fullback role, or being asked to bomb forward, get on the overlap and put balls into the box. And in this game, I don't think Pedro Porro needs to go forward at all. Again, the task is about containment. For me, he's got the passing range and the passing ability, like we've seen in the first leg, to be able to play them long balls forward and look to counter Liverpool and put it in behind the back line for a forward players to run onto without having to get forward. So for me, again, it'll be the exact same instructions as against Brentford. Play the more traditional fullback role. Now, it is worth noting, because Jed Spence has locked up Mo Salah twice this season, Liverpool will look to target Pedro Porro in this game. They will look to switch diags on top of him, put crosses in on top of him, but also coming down that side, they will look to get Andy Robertson and Cody Gakpo to double up on him, get runs on the overlap, get in behind him and put balls in that box. Pedro Porro has to stand up to this task and deal with them one-on-one. He done very good against Brentford, dealing with crosses to the back post and also dealing with his winger and the fullback one-on-one, and we need an exact replica of this performance here again. At centre-back, Radu Dragusin is set to miss the remainder of the season after sustaining an ACL injury during Tottenham's Europa League game against Elfsborg, and also Postecoglou has confirmed in his pre-match press conference that Mickey van de Ven will not be available for selection for this game alongside Christian Romero, that Mickey van de Ven especially has not had a reoccurrence of his hamstring injury, and in fact with Romero and van de Ven it's more of a case of them taking caution with their return to action, and it's more of a long-term approach, and that's why they will not be risked, which means we will see a centre-back partnership of Ben Davies, who will obviously come in at left-sided centre-back, being left-footed, and comes into this game full of confidence with a great performance against Brentford, reading the game very well, and again putting his body on the line, making clearances and blocks. And at right-sided centre-back, this is where the selection headache comes in. Does Postecoglou bring in new signing Kevin Danso, which I think is a huge risk to throw him into a game of this magnitude, given that he hasn't played a competitive game in almost 4 weeks? And in the press conference, Postecoglou did say he will play, but he never said whether he will start or whether it will be off the bench. And he did cite that we do have a game 3 days later against Aston Villa, so we have a lot more games coming up, which makes me think he's going to be held back and he will start that game against Villa, and he will put his fate here in young Archie Gray. And I think it's the right thing to do. I think Archie Gray has been absolutely brilliant at centre-back. Some people are asking the question, is he a centre-back or is he a CDM? That's how good he's been at centre-back. And I don't think he's any stranger to the sort of emotional atmosphere that we're going to face. I think in the North London derby, he held his own very well at centre-back. He didn't really put a foot wrong in that game. So for me, I think Postecoglou has to put his trust in Archie Gray and go with the backline that got us here, but also the same backline that kept a clean sheet against Brentford. You do not change that. Moving into midfield, and Postecoglou has a huge decision to make on who's going to form this midfield three today. You've got 4 very good options available. You've got Lucas Bergvall, who is the hero from the first leg. You've also got Papamata Sarr, who came off the bench with a very good cameo, scoring a goal at the weekend and offers that goal-scoring ability from midfield. And then you've also got Rodrigo Bentancur and Yves Bissouma, who are the more experienced heads in that midfield, and off the back of a very good performance as well. I think one player that is a cert to start is Rodrigo Bentancur. He's coming into this game with a bit of a point to prove. In the first leg, he went off with a head injury very earlier on in the game. In them 2 games against Liverpool, it was very end-to-end, and he was missing in both of them. I'm hoping with him coming back into the midfield here that he can just bring a little bit more control to what we're doing, a bit more fluidity with him punting the ball forward in terms of on the counter-attack, but also helping us retain possession and staving off a bit of pressure for periods of the game. Also out of possession, he's going to have to stay switched on. He's going to have to get out to both wings, provide protection there for the full-backs, cut out moves if he can, while also screening the 2 centre-backs and trying to block shots from the edge of the box that Liverpool have in their locker. So for me, we need a very, very big performance here from Rodrigo Bentancur, a very mature and composed performance from him here, and hopefully he can deliver. Now, who forms the rest of this midfield? I think Yves Bissouma, the fact that he came off against Brentford and he put in a very good performance, I do think he will come back in here. Now, when it comes to Yves Bissouma and the big games, I'll be honest, I do not trust him in games of this magnitude. Now, don't get me wrong, a couple of big games this season against Man City and against Liverpool in the first leg, he was absolutely brilliant. However, if you take your mind back to both games, he picked up a yellow card very early on. He's not going to get away with that here, because when the game opens up a bit later on, when everyone's tired and there's a bit more space, we are going to need that tackle where he's going to have to sacrifice himself for the team, and it can't be one where he ends up taking a red card. And then when you also look at other big games this season, the North London derby, got his pocket picked, gave away the ball, they went up and scored off the back of it, and against Chelsea gave away a stupid penalty that ended up swinging the momentum of that game. So the reality is, I really don't know what to expect from Yves Bissouma in this game. Sometimes he picks up a yellow card early and it concentrates him and he puts in an unbelievable performance. But then other games, he really lets you down. So it's a 50-50. However, with him being one of the more experienced heads in the team, I do think Postecoglou will select him. I know this will be a bit harsh on Lucas Bergvall. However, let's be brutally honest, he was fortunate to stay on the pitch for that winner against Liverpool in the first leg. He made some rash challenges. In a game of this magnitude away from home, you're not going to get away with that, and I don't want to run the risk, which means Papa Matasar will complete this midfield. Now, I know you're looking at and going, Dave, where's the creativity? We need a calm. Hold on, I fully understand. But with Papa Matasar, we all know what he offers defensively. He's energetic, he gets around, he disrupts moves. That's what you need away from home. But because we will be playing on the counter here and we will be forced to, it's not by choice. He also has the goal scoring ability to be able to break from midfield, get forward and put the ball in the back of the net. We've seen that a number of times this season. We've seen it against Man City in the Cup earlier on. We've seen it against Brentford off the bench the other day. You take your mind back to Man United last year, he also scored. And there's been a couple of other times. So for me, he actually gives you a bit of both. He gives you that defensive work rate and that defensive solidity and will muck in. But also, he can break away, join the counter-attack, and has a goal in him. So for me, I think it's the perfect solution. Moving into the front line, and we will start with left wing, and it will be Captain Son Heung-min, who comes into this second leg of the Carabao Cup in complete different form than what he entered the first leg of the Carabao Cup. Coming into this game, he's off the back of a brilliant 45 minutes off the left wing against Leicester, a roll-back-the-year performance against Elfsborg in the Europa League, and also a game at the weekend where he got 2 assists to help Tottenham to win. And I think what's really reassuring to Spurs fans having him back in this form is that he can provide a bit of magic at any given moment. And in this game, with him in this form, it always gives us that chance to be able to reach the final. We've seen the magic that Son can produce. And I do think this will go down a long way to his legacy at Tottenham Hotspur if he can captain Tottenham Hotspur to a Carabao Cup final post Harry Kane. And he has form in this. In that Champions League run, it was him that carried us through the qualifiers. Can he carry us here again tonight? We need a massive game from our captain, an inspirational performance. Let's wait and see if we get one. Moving on to right wing, and I know there's a bit of debate here around whether Postecoglou should bring him Tell to freshen things up and provide a few legs on the counter-attack, or should he go with Dejan Kulusevski? For me, I think it's a no-brainer. I think Dejan Kulusevski will start here for 2 reasons. One, I think he's a big guy, he can hold up the ball, and I think he provides an out ball. Instead of trying to play through the Liverpool press, which we will end up playing ourselves into problems at times. Against Liverpool in the reverse leg, we ended up going long ball a hell of a lot more. And I think Kulusevski is a guy that we can use in the forward line to target, try and hold that ball up, get runners off him, or get turned and carry that ball up the pitch and alleviate some pressure while also trying to be devastating on the counter-attack. And it's important that Postecoglou plays him in the forward line because he has created more chances than any other forward player in this team. So he's absolutely crucial to what Tottenham do going forward. And then that brings me into the striker role. Again, could you play Matthias Tell through the middle? Look, I think it's a good option, but I think that's something you will see later on in the game. I think he will stick with Richarlison here. Twofold. One, Richarlison always plays well against Liverpool and usually bags a goal because of how hungry he is and how much he hates them. And I think that's something that we can use to our advantage. But 2, we're going to be penned in for large periods of the game. We're going to need someone that's going to be selfish, relentless, go and press that ball, put his body on the line, make tackles, win free kicks, help us from defensive set pieces, and Richarlison ticks all them boxes. So I think you run the legs off him more from a defensive point of view, look to bring Tell on maybe later on in the game, and look to stretch them, get that ball in behind, and see if his fresh legs can get on the end of it. So guys, that's my predicted lineup to take on Liverpool tonight in the Carabao Cup semi-final. Please give me yours in the comment section below, along with your reasons behind your team selection. Let me know in the comments what you agree with, what you disagree with. Give me your score prediction, and I'll see you back here at 5 p.m. for the build-up to Tottenham's biggest game of the season. As always, come on you Spurs, in the big Ange, I trust.